Now, you have just taken a recent turn on Drag Race All-Stars, but sweetie, you've managed to keep it up, keep your face out there, doing things, always out there with the kids. How does a queen remain relevant for so long? What do you think has been your secret?
Well, let me just be very candid. The fear of going broke, children.
Wisely said.
No, it really is all about, to me, I think staying true to yourself, but figuring out how to connect to newer generations. It's like, I love doing older music. There's nothing in the new hip hop game, R&B that I really care for too much. So it's like throwing a new twist on old songs, but putting it in a fresh vessel. Mm-hmm. It's like people expect older queens to do older songs, but when you're a younger girl, it's relative. But considering the songs that I like to do, I love to put a different energy behind it, some extra sex appeal, and then the younger generation after me is like, who was that? What song was that? I get text messages, not text messages, they don't get my number, but
DMs.
But I get DMs about what the songs that I was doing, and it's always an older diva that the children have not heard, and I live for that.
Yes, I mean, you're schooling the audience and the other performers.
You know,
yeah,
titillating the senses at every angle.
Yes. You were in AJ and the Queen.
Oh, yes.
Tell me about making that.
Well, I was surprised and pleasantly surprised because to work with Ru in a different dynamic and a different medium than like a structured competition was amazing. She makes me laugh just ridiculously. And the other girls, like just seeing us having to memorize the script, it really is what Ru's prepared us for on the show with all the different challenges, because I pretty much experienced all those: memorization, having to be funny, doing everything on spot, improv, and I was just like, this is what you were doing, bitch.
Right.
This is it. This is it. I get it now. I get it.
On those shoot days, it was you and so many of your Drag Race sisters and Ru in front of the camera in a different, non-controlled manner than you've ever seen. And especially that scene in the dressing room where she's taking off everything. What was the vibe that day? What was your experience with that? And what did you think when you were looking at her just doing her thing?
Ru, I was sitting there, me and the other girls, we were chatting. And then when Ru walked in and she was in drag, I was just kind of quietly, like, observing. She looked at me and she's like, Mariah, did you find what you were looking for? I was like, girl, collide. You know, the dragons, we all have like that sixth sense. And our trans sisters, we had that sixth sense when somebody's trying to get in. And she had pulled it out. It's like, oh, God. I was like, no, it's good. It's good, love. You good. What do you say when somebody got you together?
Right, exactly. That must have been so fun. Were you and the other girls just like in your, because I know you all got ready in one big area together. Was everyone just waiting and with anticipation for the arrival of RuPaul on set, or what was it like?
Actually, you know what? Ru is not really diva-ish. Like she, on set, she made sure that we were comfortable. If sound and the lighting wasn't right yet, she'd be like, no, we need to get some seats for my girls. They're in heels. Like she really was very nurturing. Despite what you've heard about the mommy dearest moments, despite what you've heard about the wooden hanger. But no, she really took care of us on set, and she wanted to make sure that we felt comfortable, and anytime that she found a moment, she came and gave us pointers. It was awesome.
Wow. And you're one of the few Drag Race queens who've gotten that face-to-face post-show sit-down interview when you did What's the Tea with her and Michelle.
That one was fun.
And that was right when you came to town, right?
Yes, it was right after I moved here. And we had to film it twice. The first time the sound was a little off, so I had to go back in, which I'm not complaining.
Right.
It's like to be invited over to Ru's closet space with Michelle to film us talking shit. It was nice. Yeah, it was good.
It was definitely like twice the amount of sunshine. You get that RuPaul sunshine every once in a while.
And in between the commercial break, again, she went out of her way to give me pointers on selling things, like selling product, like engaging, because she pulled out a pen and she was like, "So how are things going, Mariah?" I was like, "Oh, good, good, good. So what do you have in the works?" So I was like, "Well, just doing more of this, more of me." She was like, "Okay, well, that's great. Well, what are you selling? What are you like? What are you engaging people with?" And then she brought out this pen and gave me a whole lesson. Bitch, I thought I was on QVC episode. I was like, "Oh, I didn't even think about this." She was like, "Baby, if you don't find a pen or something, a piece of lint to sell, like, why are you doing? Like, why?
Right.
Like, take it to another level. Don't just like be monotone with it." And and now I have candles.
Yes, you do. They smell beautiful. Speaking of the candles and the ballroom inspiration for that, I wanted to get your take on ballroom sort of being thrust into the mainstream, especially in the last few years with first Pose, but then Legendary.
Yeah, I think it's with ballroom being put back on Front Street again, you know, because it had its burst in the 80s, like
Right.
late 80s, early 90s with Paris is Burning, and then it seemed to fizzle out, but we've never stopped.
Right. We know it was still alive and well and turning it.
Right, we never stopped with the balls, but mainstream has rediscovered it with Pose, and I think that they've done an amazing job over at Pose. The actresses, all of the actresses and actors have done an amazing job, and the writers bringing those stories, and the consultants, Jack Gorgeous Gucci Mizrahi, is has done a phenomenal job consulting with the stories and bringing it to life. I don't think there's been one episode where I didn't laugh and cry.
Yeah.
Because it's so relatable, it truly is. And even if you're not in the ballroom scene, the stories of the children in the ballroom scene are so relatable. It's like being discarded, being forgotten, being looked over, you know, for opportunities. We all can identify with that. And ballroom is not just about being on the runway and feeling fabulous for a moment. It's about connection, it's about opportunities, and it's about knowing that you're worth something.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that Pose and Legendary are bringing that to the forefront is amazing.
Getting to see Leomi as the head judge on Legendary was something else. I'm sure you agree.
Her and Deshawn have both earned their spots, stamped in iconic status, because not only do they work inside the ballroom to challenge and push the talent level, but they also do a lot of work outside of the ballroom scene in bringing attention to the needs of the ballroom scene, the culture, the individuals in it, whether it's housing, whether it's transitional needs. They bring more attention and light to it. So it's like all the accolades and joy that they get from mainstream and from their success is so well deserved.
I'd love to see you as a judge on Legendary, Mariah.
Well, I would love the opportunity just to be involved in any capacity with the show. It's like it feels like family, it feels like home there already. So if I ever got the opportunity, of course I would jump on it, sit on it, and spin.
Now be sure that you are following us at Hey Qween TV on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all the platforms, all the places, even Uranus. What? Floop at Hey Qween TV. Mariah, sweetie, get ready.
Uh-oh.
Because it's time to get into it.
Get into it. Get into it.
We are going to talk about your turn on Drag Race All-Stars 5, honey.
God.
Oh, there she is. There's your promo photo. Looking good.
Oh, that set of stairs.
So this was obviously very exciting. You'd stayed in the World of Wonder family, and you're right here in Hollywood, so you were always doing stuff with them. What was it like when you got that call to come back? Because you've been rumored for many different times.
Many different seasons of All Stars, I was rumored. So it was a little easier to kind of keep it hush-hush this year because it was just like, if somebody would approach me and be like, oh, I heard you're, I'm like, sure, sweetie. I was rumored to be on season 1, 2, 3, and yeah. And then they just ignored me on season 4. So, of course, I'm on 5, sure. So it was like I had so much practice in like deflecting that it was like I stayed under the radar for a very long time. But it was kind of like, oh shit. I was kind of always, every year I was always had something in the works just in case. I got the official nod. And so this year I was like, nah, let me just save my money. And then that's when I had to spend all the money and get ready.
I know.
I was like, fuck.
Now, that's only like a few weeks to pull it together, right?
Yeah, I always thought, but by that time, if you're being considered as an all-star, you should be able to figure out your resources.
From what you've already got.
What you've got, what you can borrow, or stack a little something to the side, you know, some little money to the side. But at the end of the day, for me, I was like, going back to All-Stars, you need to look like an all-star. You need to carry yourself like an all-star. And I think that's what I did.
Yeah, I mean, you were really introducing yourself to a whole new generation because, I mean, we had Gigi Good here a couple of weeks ago, and she didn't start watching Drag Race till 7, you know what I mean? So there's a whole audience of people who, if they haven't gone back, this is your, you know, you're being presented to them as a new star.
And, you know, I really want, like, the fandom, because we seem new to a lot of the younger people. There's people that are like, oh, I'm at that point, I guess, in drag, where they're like, oh my gosh, my grandmother loves you. But Adore's my favorite, but my grandma loves you. Like, seriously. I'm like, okay, cool. I get it, though. I get it. But it's like, but I'm so proud of being one of the older and one of the earlier seasons and one of the older alumni, because I'm like, a lot of the children now don't realize the sacrifices that we had to go through. We didn't have management companies that knew what to do with drag. We didn't have like talent agencies. We didn't have like a circuit to actually make money. And so there was a lot of times like different little half-ass promoters would be like, oh, I can represent you. And then they would take off with our deposit money or get arrested, and then we had like pending contracts. The new girls do not understand, and they forget what happened before.
Right.
Everything was set up for them. Like, it's turnkey now.
Yeah, because it really wasn't, as much as we all love drag, especially if you were in the nightlife scene, it wasn't like there was a national track to really make that coin, to get proper management, to be respected by, you know, agencies or management companies. They didn't get it. They didn't understand it. You guys really paved the way.
Yeah, they were like, well, I remember reaching out to several different talent agencies, and they were like, well, what do you do? I was like, I'm a drag queen. Like, but what do you do? I was like, are you asking me, do I play an instrument? Like, they didn't know how to. I was like, all of this drag is an act. Like, so I'm definitely an actress.
Yeah.
You saw me when I came in. But I'm just like, but there was a lot of like roadblocks. Early on, I would reach out to cosmetic companies. I reached out to hair companies. I wanted to start something, but I kept getting shut down and kept getting told no. Now the girls are being hunted down by these same companies that told me no, that didn't see the value in drag.
Right.
They were like, oh, we don't want yeah, that's not us.
Right.
Our brand, we really don't, our brand is women. We don't want
Yeah,
drag queens
God
associated.
forbid. Mm-hmm.
You know, so, but now, oh, right, that's the real tip. And so it's like all of these companies now are headhunting drag queens to try to figure out who's the most popular drag queen to represent their brand, when I was trying to do that shit years ago.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you finally able to get back on the VH1 version to get some of the shine that you deserved. You did it with two of your other season 3 sisters, Alexis Mateo and India Farrah, honey.
Yes, I was so surprised to see Alexis, because you know, you think like AllStars is like that chance, like for somebody who's not been on it already. And so I was like, oh, well, work, bitch. I was like, you knew how to play the game the first time, you played it again, and now you hear, I'm like, oh, bitch, she's gonna send me home. And India, I was surprised because, you know, they give us a list because, you know, we have to be prepared to read bitches.
Right.
And so I was just like, And they give us a mock list. I really thought India was on the mock list.
Oh.
I was like, well, because, you know, you typically for AllStars, everything keeps changing every year. The rules have been suspended. But you're like, okay, well, typically it's been people who've gotten a little further. And I was like, well, I didn't get that far. So I was like, no, couldn't possibly be her here. Yep. The bitch that got picked up, got picked up.
Yeah.
See what I did?
Yes, so we see it right there. Erica sees it. Erica has not seen Drag Race.
But
I made her rewatch all of
I'm
that.
all caught up.
But see, I respect it though. I respect that. I like a bitch that can be unbothered and still be engaged.
Bloop. Now, what did you feel like when you finally got in and you saw who was really there? What were your immediate thoughts?
Hello, children. Click here.